From UFC Octagon to Islam, the fighter's spiritual fight. Imagine facing down a world champion in the Octagon, then finding an entirely different kind of fight, a spiritual one. What drives a UFC fighter at the peak of their physical prowess to embark on a profound journey towards Islam? This isn't just about punches and takedowns. It's about a transformation that reshapes a life. Introduction: Beyond blood, sweat, and victory. Mixed martial arts, or MMA, is one of the most brutal and physically demanding sports in the world. Inside the UFC Octagon, elite fighters are celebrated for their power, discipline, and precision. But what happens when one of these warriors decides that the fight inside the cage isn't the only one that matters? In recent years, more UFC fighters have spoken publicly about their conversion to Islam or their deepening commitment to their Muslim faith. From high-profile champions to rising contenders, their stories reveal a shared journey, one that moves beyond the pursuit of titles to the search for inner peace, discipline, and spiritual truth. But why Islam? And what is it about this path that resonates so deeply with fighters who've already conquered the world physically? Let's step into a different kind of arena, the one where faith becomes the fight, and the reward isn't gold, but guidance. 1. The Warrior's Code: Discipline, Respect, and Purpose. MMA fighters live by a strict code. Training camps start before dawn. Diets are meticulously controlled, and pain is a daily companion. This level of discipline mirrors many core tenets of Islam: prayer, fasting, humility, and a relentless commitment to self-improvement. For fighters like Kevin Lee, a former UFC lightweight contender who publicly embraced Islam, the structure and purpose offered by the faith filled a void. He stated in interviews, "Islam brought me peace. It gave me balance that fighting never could." In the Octagon, success requires mastering the body, but Islam, for many, teaches mastery of the soul, and this contrast is often the beginning of a deeper search. 2. Hitting rock bottom, the turning point. The path to spiritual awakening often begins in darkness. Injuries, losses, addictions, or personal crises frequently drive fighters to reassess their lives beyond the cage. Former UFC welterweight champion Anthony "Rumble" Johnson once alluded to the spiritual confusion he faced after fame. While he didn't publicly convert to Islam, many around him began seeking answers outside of the sport. Fighters speak of the adrenaline crashes, the loneliness after big wins, and the emptiness fame couldn't fill. For some, that low point becomes the catalyst for transformation. Case in point, Nate Diaz, a fighter known for his raw attitude and street mentality, once commented that martial arts saved his life. Though not Muslim, he echoed a sentiment shared by many converts: "You either find something real or you get lost." 3. Brotherhood in the cage: the rise of Muslim role models. The presence of devout Muslim fighters in the UFC, such as Khabib Nurmagomedov, Islam Makhachev, and Belal Muhammad, has opened doors for others to explore the faith. Khabib, in particular, has become an icon beyond MMA. His refusal to compromise his religious beliefs, from avoiding alcohol-sponsored events to openly praying after fights, showed the world that spirituality and fighting could coexist. And for many young fighters, he became a role model not just for his skills, but for his character. Seeing Khabib walk away from the UFC undefeated, not for money, but to honor his late father and his values, spoke louder than any knockout. It was a message that there's more to life than fame. There's faith. Four, the quiet revolution, Western converts and their stories. While fighters from Muslim-majority countries are celebrated for their unwavering commitment to faith, what's even more remarkable is the growing number of Western-born fighters who have chosen to embrace Islam, not because of their upbringing, but despite it. In a world where religion often takes a back seat to fame, ego, and physical dominance, these fighters have made a deeply personal decision to step into a different kind of ring, one where the opponent is the self, and the victory is internal peace. Kevin Lee, the beginning of a new chapter. Former UFC contender Kevin Lee shocked the MMA world in 2021 when he announced his conversion to Islam. Once known for his brash confidence and aggressive persona, Lee admitted that life after fame had left him spiritually empty. He shared in interviews, "It was a long time coming. Islam brought me structure and gave me peace I never had." Kevin Lee's decision didn't stem from a single traumatic moment, but from an accumulation of battles, mental, emotional, and spiritual. After spending time in Muslim-majority countries and interacting with practicing fighters, he began studying Islam more deeply. The values of patience, discipline, and inner purification resonated with him on a level no championship belt ever could. For Kevin Lee, Islam became a compass, redirecting him from the chaos of fame to the clarity of faith. Michael "Venom" Page, A Journey of Identity. Known for his flashy, unorthodox style and electric knockouts in Bellator and the UFC, Michael "Venom" Page is a fighter who always stood out. But behind the showmanship was a man searching for deeper identity and purpose. In 2023, Page confirmed that he had taken his Shahada, the declaration of faith in Islam. While details about his spiritual journey remain personal and private, what's clear is that Islam provided a moral and spiritual framework that connected with his values and lifestyle. For Page, Islam wasn't a radical shift, but a natural alignment, a structure of respect, discipline, and faith that he had already leaned toward in his personal life. Amber Leibrock, From Crisis to Clarity. Featherweight MMA fighter Amber Leibrock, who competed in Invicta FC and the PFL, made headlines in 2023 when she publicly announced her conversion to Islam. In a sport where image and perception are tightly managed, her move was both bold and authentic. Amber shared that her journey toward Islam began after experiencing deep personal loss and depression. In a video testimony, she explained, "I was in one of the darkest places of my life. I didn't want to live. But Islam gave me hope. It gave me rules, boundaries, and most importantly, peace." She began studying the Quran, attending Islamic classes, and eventually found solace in prayer and submission to God. Her transformation wasn't just spiritual, it changed the way she approached training, relationships, and mental health. Amber's story is a powerful testament to the healing power of faith, especially in an industry that can sometimes break the spirit more than the body. Jeff Monson, From Anarchist to Submission. Jeff Monson, a legendary grappler and former UFC heavyweight, had already undergone several transformations in his life. From an American citizen to a Russian national, from a capitalist to a self-proclaimed socialist and anarchist. But one of his most profound shifts happened in 2023 when he announced his conversion to Islam. Monson, who has always challenged mainstream narratives, found in Islam a spiritual structure that aligned with his values of social justice, compassion for the oppressed, and personal discipline. Though once an outspoken atheist, Monson began questioning the nature of existence, purpose, and morality after seeing the suffering of war victims, particularly in Muslim-majority regions. His travels to Chechnya and Dagestan brought him into close contact with devout Muslim communities, where he saw firsthand the resilience, humility, and hospitality of the Islamic lifestyle. For Monson, Islam was not just a belief system, it was a worldview rooted in service, submission, and sincerity. Rodrigo Nascimento, Seeking Truth in Simplicity. Brazilian UFC heavyweight Rodrigo Nascimento, known for his relentless ground game, embraced Islam after a period of personal searching and reflection. While Brazil is predominantly Christian, Nascimento's exposure to Muslim teammates and his own spiritual curiosities led him to study the Quran independently. He spoke publicly about how Islam's teachings on justice, accountability, and the transient nature of life deeply affected him. The rituals of prayer and fasting brought a new rhythm to his life, one that balanced the chaos of professional fighting with the stillness of worship. In a post on social media after his Shahada, he wrote, "I found in Islam what I had been looking for my whole life: structure, meaning, and submission to something greater than myself." Nascimento's quiet, humble demeanor contrasts with the brutal nature of the sport. But in many ways, this duality perfectly represents the paradox that many Muslim fighters embody: calm amidst chaos, peace in the middle of war. Tom Kahn, pioneer turned preacher. Though retired, Tom Kahn remains one of the most vocal proponents of Islam in the MMA community. A British-Egyptian fighter turned entrepreneur, Kahn was instrumental in bringing MMA to the Middle East. After stepping away from fighting, he turned his attention toward faith-based education, dawah, Islamic outreach, and supporting converts. His social media channels now feature not just training clips, but Quranic reflections, guidance for new Muslims, and open discussions on masculinity and mental health through an Islamic lens. Kahn frequently assists other fighters, both Muslim-born and converts, in navigating the unique pressures of being a practicing Muslim in a highly secular industry. For fighters who already live by a code of honor, discipline, and sacrifice, Islam is less a contradiction and more of a complement. It strengthens the mind, purifies the soul, and channels the body toward a higher purpose. From converts to carriers of faith. These men and women are not just converts, they're carriers of Islam in one of the world's most watched and misunderstood sports. They shatter stereotypes simply by existing, by fighting, by kneeling in prayer after battle. And as more fans and fighters alike begin asking questions about what drives these warriors spiritually, one thing becomes clear: this quiet revolution is only just beginning. Five, Islam and the fighter's mindset, a natural fit? It might seem counterintuitive, a religion often associated with peace, embraced by men who fight for a living. But a closer look reveals a deep alignment. Discipline, daily prayers, fasting, and self-restraint build the same mental toughness required in training. Respect. Just as fighters bow to their coaches or opponents, Islam teaches humility before God and others. Inner peace. Many fighters describe the tranquility they feel during prayer or after reading the Quran, a sharp contrast to the chaos of the cage. One might even argue that Islam doesn't just fit the fighter's mindset, it enhances it. 6. Fighting stereotypes, Islamophobia, and the courage to be open. Embracing Islam in the public eye isn't easy, especially in a sport dominated by Western media narratives. Fighters who convert often face backlash, suspicion, or criticism. Yet, the courage to be open about their faith is part of the fight. In doing so, they challenge stereotypes, humanize Islam, and inspire fans to look beyond headlines. Social media has become a key battleground, with Instagram videos of fighters praying, fasting during Ramadan while training, or visiting Mecca during fight camps going viral and changing perceptions. They're not just changing the game, they're changing the narrative. 7. A new legacy, beyond the belt. For many Muslim fighters, the ultimate goal is no longer a UFC championship belt, it's legacy. Khabib walked away from millions of dollars, choosing to honor his faith and family. Islam Makhachev, though fiercely competitive, regularly speaks about staying grounded. Belal Muhammad shares Quranic verses online, using his platform for dawah, Islamic outreach. These fighters aren't just winning fights, they're winning hearts. The legacy they're building is one of discipline, faith, and integrity, both inside and outside the cage. Conclusion. The final round, a personal fight for truth. Behind every jab, takedown, and victory pose, there's a human being, often bruised, not just physically, but spiritually. The Octagon is unforgiving, but so is life. And for many fighters, Islam becomes the anchor that holds them steady through the storms. Their journey reminds us that the greatest battles aren't always fought in front of roaring crowds. Sometimes the most meaningful fight is the one within, the struggle to find truth, peace, and purpose. And for these warriors, Islam wasn't the end of their journey, it was just the beginning.